How's it going, everybody? My name is Lilanthia, and today I am going to be opening a box of Dominaria Remastered. So this is one of the Remastered series Magic sets where they take a whole bunch of sets that take place on one plane, put them all together on one set, curate it for a draft experience, and do a release. Woo, hi there. So this version, though, is the draft box. So we're going to crack it on open. So there was a box topper in here on the Amazon listing, so that's weird. I don't see one. Well, I guess I'm going to open it anyway. Got this nice marble counter to do it on. So let's get started and see what we get. Gonna kind of speed through it because not a lot of the commons and uncommons that I really care too terribly much about. Cloud of Fairies is one I do care about. So there's our commons. High Tide, that's a good hit. Wax and Wane, Sulfuric Vortex. All right, that's a cool card. I'm a big fan. So the rares right there. Ooh. All right, next pack. Yucker Slick, Drifting Meadow. Lots of cycling lands got reprinted. Impulse, that's a good hit. Tuco Monastery, it's a card I'm a pretty big fan of. Gem Palm Incinerator for the Goblins players. Forgotten Ancients. I messed up how I'm doing my stacks here. Tokens and lands. Uncommons. Uncommon. Rare. And we got Swords to Plowshares. Great uncommon legacy staple, goblin token, beautiful mountain art. All right, Peregrine Drake, another great common. Mana War, personal favorite of mine as well. Flesh Reaver, Rose's Catacombs, Fire Blast, awesome. Absorb, nice reprint there. Old Border Peregrine Drake, put that in the commons. You got a Plains and a foil Mog War Marshal. Stick the foils on this guy right here. Absorb's pretty good. Counter target spell, gain 3 life for blue, blue, white. The weaker kind of version of Undermine, I guess. Mana War. Lots of good commons in this set. Chain Lightning. All right, there we go. Cooking with gas. Turnabout. Fantastic. And a Crawl Space. All right. No more than 2 creatures can attack each combat on Crawl Space. Great EDH card. Nomad Decoy, Deep Analysis. I played a lot of Standard Odyssey kind of time, so that was a great card to play in the blue decks back then. Frantic Search. Voice of All, also kind of a personal favorite of mine in Commander decks because I can choose to give it protection from any color. Crop Rotation, amazing. Overmaster, originally printed in Odyssey, and a good way to push through an instant or sorcery spell if you are worried about counter magic. Very nice to see that card get a reprint. Since it replaces itself, there's little downside to playing it in like big red commander decks where you want to make sure that your spells get cast through. You got Battle Screech, personal favorite card of mine. My first competitive deck, I think, would have been Battle Screech. Maybe it was Frog in a Blender, but I didn't quite have all the cards I needed for that. Necro Savant, Pain and Suffering. Entomb, big rip. All right. And Fadia Seer, I used to play her in a blue, black, green Reanimator deck in Standard when that came out in Planar Chaos. And then a foil Pyre Zombie, a recursive damage dealing creature. So you can pay a colorless and 2 black if you do, or during your upkeep, to return it to your hand. And then you can pay a colorless and 2 red to sacrifice it to do 2 damage to any target. It's a lot of mana to commit because it's basically 9 damage for 2 mana, but you can also get a blocker out of it, which makes it a little bit better. So I played it a bit in like middle school tabletop, invasion block standard kind of. but it's a little bit comparable to Garden's Hammer. So you never know, that 9 mana might let you close out a game that you may not have won otherwise. All right, we've got Urborg Uprising, Primal Boon. Let's see, Break Asunder, Counterspell at common. That's great. Good to see it. You can always use more of those. Phyrexian Scuda, downshifted uncommon. This was a powerful card back in Plane Shift. If you were playing like Green-Black Rock, you would play 4 Phyrexian Scudos and 4 Spirit Mongers. Because it was just a 4 and a 5 drop that were both very, very aggressive and very difficult to deal with. It was kind of one of the first mid-range decks. Decapod, Dedapult. Whoa! Look at that fancy boy. We got a borderless Maze of Ith. Goblin Matron, great common. Search for any goblin, reveal and put into your hand. Also can search for anything that's a changeling. Lightning Reflexes, Deep Analysis, Werebear. Also was kind of a good Timmy card back in the day because it was a good mana ramp in your green deck. In Odyssey, we didn't have a 1 mana ramp green creature except for Birds of Paradise. So there was no Llanowar Elf. They were kind of slowing down mana creatures then because the Fires of Yavimaya deck was too good and green kind of dominated her as a Saga standard. But it turns into a 4/4 in the late game, so it's a mana dork when you need a mana dork and a beater later. Wild Dog Snap, another free spell. I'm really kind of tickled they reprinted all these free spells just to make them more accessible for Pauper players because they're all good in Pauper, except the ones that are banned. Terravor, Milliken, Zur the Enchanter, commander card, Damping Sphere, and a foil Grim Lavamancer. That's a sick hit too. Great card there. Pay a red, tap, exile 2 cards from your graveyard. Grim Lavamancer is 2 damage to any target. So the idea is in like Legacy Burn, Modern Burn, you can play fetch lands in your deck to go fetch out your mountains, but it gives you additional fodder in the graveyard so that you have Grim Lavamancer activation, so you can kill creatures, keep them off the board. Peregrine Drake, Empty the Warrens, great hit. Rada Irdekeld. I think I messed up my stacks again. Damping Sphere was there. Okay, I'm not very good at this. Flametongue Kavu, also another good nostalgia hit. Ooh, look at that old border Sarah Angel. And that beautiful John Avon Island. Oh, Mark Poole, I'm wrong. Flametongue Kavu comes into play, does 4 damage. It's a 4/2. So it can regularly kill a creature when it comes into play, making it pretty powerful. Also was featured in some of the aggro green-red decks. There was a green-red gating deck that allowed you to play things like Horn Kavu and return Flametongue Kavu to your hand to recast it multiple times. It was a good deck. Street Wraith, Spark Spray, some good cyclers in here. Floodgate, Glory, yeah, that's a good hit. So Glory, 2 and a white, choose a color. Creatures you control gain protection from the chosen color. Activate only if Glory's in your graveyard. Very powerful ability. Squirrel Nest Old Border, that's pretty sick too. Excited. Beautiful mountain again. I really liked this set, so that's why I decided to buy another box and do a box opening. I'm just big for the nostalgia on it, even if I don't really like remastered sets, just generally speaking, because they devalue a lot of my collection, but, you know, you take what you can get. I played the crap out of Circular Logic in Blue-Green Madness, although it was probably more noteworthy as being a counterspell in the Psychotog deck. If you don't know anything about the Psychotog deck, go watch a YouTube video on it. It was disgustingly powerful in Standard at its time. Elvish Spirit Guide. Always want more things that say elf in the name. Ooh. Is that a sneak attack? We're going to find out. Kamalfist Acrosia. He's a great mono green commander. I'm probably actually going to put him in the Green Sleeves deck so he can pump up all my Badgers. Ah, oh, Rada Irdekeld foil. Disappointing. Disappointing. Horseshoe Crab. Emerald Charm. So that was in the original series of the charms from Mirage. That basically it's one spell with 3 kind of small effects on them. So untap a permanent, destroy target non-aura enchantment, or target creature loses flying until end of turn. So it gives you the choice for having weaker effects. So maybe it's a little weaker overall, but the versatility makes up for it. Chainer's Edict. Wow, this is like removal the pack. Swords to Plowshares and Chainer's Edict in the same pack. Another Jarell. And Undead Gladiator. And a... Bah. So far, this has been a pretty sweet box. Lightning Reflexes. Oops. Fadia Seer. Snap. Street Wraith. Spirit Monger. That's the guy I was talking about. Gerard's Verdict is a powerful discard spell. It's one of the few cards that discards 2 cards from an opponent's hand for 2 mana. So it's like it and Hymn to Torok are the notable ones. And I know we played this in a green, white, black deck for a little bit when I was younger. Overall, those are some great uncommons. Decimate, that's pretty sick. And we got a Juggernaut. Foil Break Asunder. I have not been pulling out the foils. That's okay. I'm going to alphabetize these all afterwards anyway. All right. Let's see. Dragon Whelp. A little Dragonette. Quicksilver Dagger. Turns anything into a Tim. Drummer's Cavern. Ooh, nice hit there. Enlightened Tutor. Go search your library for any artifact or enchantment. Reveal it. Put it on the top card or top of your library. So you cast that at the end of your opponent's turn, go get the artifact or enchantment that you need, and then you untap and you draw it. It's a supremely powerful effect. Hey, Cloud of Fairies. Alright. Valduke, Keeper of the Flame. That's from the new Dominaria, so I don't really know much about him. Dread Return, very, very powerful combo card. Mistress Factory, that's a fantastic hit. 2/2 creature on a land. Spinal Embrace. Cast only during combat, untap target creature you don't control, gain control of it, and it gains haste until the end of turn. At the beginning of your next end step, sacrifice it and gain life to its toughness. So you can take one of their guys, attack with it, and then sacrifice it. So it's kind of a 2-for-1. We got a Organize and a Treva's Ruin foil. Treva. Kind of like Trevor with an accent. All right. See, Duress, always good. Factor Fiction, great uncommon, one of the best draw spells in the game. End of turn, Factor Fiction, you lose. It is kind of a meme. So you reveal top 5 cards of your library. An opponent separates those cards into 2 piles. Put 1 pile in your hand, the other in the graveyard. Sawtooth Loon, Dromar's Cavern. Body Snatcher, so that's an Urza's Block card. Enters the battlefield, exile it unless you discard a card. And when it dies, exile it and return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So Reanimator strats there. Foil Duress, Plains. Foil Duress, Brandon. Deep Analysis. Lull. You got a Cycling Fog. Factor Fiction again. Call of the Herd downcycled. So this card was like 12 bucks in standard. And when I was a kid, I couldn't figure out why it was good. Because I was like, oh, a 3/3 for 3 isn't amazing. And a 3/3 for 4 is also not amazing. But I didn't realize that having that ability twice on one card made it more valuable. And that you can also discard it to other strategies like Wild Mongrel. And then still get use out of the discarded card later. So much more powerful than I thought it was. Oh, Nelly. Time Stretch, Old Border, Mythic Rare. That is probably exactly what I wanted from this. Whew. I didn't know it was in this set, but if I did, it was what I was hoping for. Would have hoped for. Let's see. Halapritus Lemure. Great. Dragon Whelp, Turnabout, always great to see. Spectral Lynx. Mystic Remora. Great hit. Commander Staple, new art. All of the above, fantastic. Mog War Marshal. Woo, Flametongue Kavu uncommon right here in the middle of the pack. Didn't know that could happen. Wild Growth. Snap. Force of Will. Yet again, something I didn't know was in this. All right, I guess I should read spoilers before I buy magic boxes, but dang! Time Stretch and Force of Will back-to-back almost, with a Mystic Remora in the middle. Wow! I guess I need to build a mono blue deck. Mind Stone, always great in Commander. Life and Death. Now that's a card that I played an absurd amount of, because in the green-black rock deck with, where'd he go here? Spirit Monger. My goal during one of my first decks that I built myself that was successful was I would discard Spirit Monger to Wild Mongrel on turn 2. And then turn 3 I would death it back into play. So I would have a turn 3 Spirit Monger. And that was a very powerful thing to do in Standard at the time. Clifftop Retreat, awesome. Mog War Marshal, and a foil Kavu Primarch. Wow. I'm just blown away by how good this box is. Let's see. And Wild Growth is also a noteworthy card too. It's played in all of the old school Enchantress decks because it's a cheap ramp spell that also draws you a card off of things like Argothian Enchantress. So that's pretty neat. Palshik Mons, Pashalik. When it or another goblin dies, it does 1 damage to any target. Sack a goblin, create 2 goblins. That's pretty good. It goes great with this Empty the Warrens. All right. Make that stack a little neater. All right. Commons. Gamble! Another tutor. And a foil Fire and Ice. And a Mind Stone. I think Fire and Ice is getting play in Modern right now. It did get a play back in the Apocalypse block because being able to have the choice of tapping a permanent so you could delay a land and draw a card, or you could tap a creature so it couldn't attack and draw a card, or you could just do 2 damage and kill 2 mana dorks. When Birds of Paradise and Land of Worlds were both in Standard together, that was pretty good. All right, what do we got going on here? Tatiova. Sad that she's an uncommon, but great card. Lightning Rift. Oh boy, how much time do you got? So when Onslaught block came out, I became an Astral Slide player, not in Onslaught, but the set after, I think. And that would have been my first real F&M top 8, was because of that card. I played an Astral Slide deck and I loved it. Ovenomancer, Phantom Nishoba. I kind of wish that would have gotten downranked. Quicksilver Dagger and a foil, Old Border. But Phantom Nishoba was kind of a Timmy favorite back in the day too, because it comes in, it's a 7 mana, 7/7 trample. So I mean, that's a good start. When it deals damage, you gain that much life. Great. And then when damage would be dealt to it, instead of it taking that damage, you removed a 1/1 counter and it didn't take that damage. It just got prevented instead. So it was a card that was very difficult to remove at the time. You had to use black removal. You couldn't do it in combat damage. That's originally printed in Judgment. And I think it might have seen play in Mirari's Drake decks, question mark. Corrosion Restorer, another favorite of mine. 3 mana, untap a land, or Threshold, untap 3 lands. And I like to play EDH decks with mana doublers, so Chain Lightning. My lands are always tapping for more than your lands. Congregation. I played one of those in my Sliver deck back in the day because I'd have a lot of slivers and I'd like to gain a lot of life. Another Entomb, 2 Entomb booster box. 2 Entombs, Force of Will, Time Stretch, Maze of Ith. It's a pretty insane box, honestly. If I hit Vampira's Tutor, I'm going to be over the moon. But I already hit an Enlightened. That was pretty good. Alright, Flametongue Kavu. Nature's Lore. For 1 and a green, search your library for a forest, put that card on the battlefield, then shuffle. So it comes into play untapped, which is great. Draw-News Crusade, glad that's downshifted. It's an Anthem for Goblins. Solkanar Swamp King. Swamp Block, whenever a player casts a black spell, you gain a life. I think this came out of Solkanar Swamp King. Ice Age? No, it would have to be Mirage, wouldn't it? I'm not actually sure. Someone look that up and comment. We got a Sawtooth Loon. Non-foil. Sometimes it's hard to tell on these old borders. Keeping it rolling. Chain Lightning right out of the gate. Peregrine Drake. Terminal Moraine. Cloud of Fairies. Scarred Prospector. Narada Heir to Keld. Icy Manipulator, another classic card, because being able to tap down your opponent's one big creature, their Muhammadi Jinn, or their Sarah Angel, or their, I don't know, Force of Nature, it just was powerful. And we got a Lieutenant Guitar. Bird creature, sacrifice Lieutenant Guitar, exile target attacking creature. In Commander, you can just keep on keeping on with that, so it's not a bad choice. Played in a lot of the bird decks back in the day because exiling threats is powerful. And fancy Chain Lightning. Pacifism. Renewed Faith, beautiful art. Impulse, always good. Sarah Angel, Storm Entity, Elvish Spirit Guide, we got 2 in the box. Siege Gang Commander, Old Border Mishra's Factory, and a beautiful land. So that's 2 Mishra Factories and 2 Elvish Spirit Guides, 2 in this box. Whoa! Glad I caught that. That could have been bad. And push the rares up a little. Bog War Marshal. Corrosion Restorer. Good. Good commons. Confiscate. Take target permanent for 4 mana or for 6 mana. Can take anything. Squirrel Nest. Tormod's Crypt. All great. Saproling Symbiosis. And a foil Orm's Thunder. Play this card in Commander. It is good. Saproling Symbiosis. Create a 1/1 green Saproling creature token for each creature you control. Kind of a win more card, but you can see that being a lot of fun in Commander. I'll probably play that in Greensleeves too, actually, since we're already making a ton of tokens and we have overrun effects. That was also notable. It was a part of a cycle of cards where you could pay 2 to cast them as an instant. The most famous card in that cycle is Rout, which is a Wrath effect, of course. But this one, you could cast it for 6, cast it during your opponent's turn, surprise blockers. Counterspell. Frantic Search. Another Nature's Lore, great. Slice and Dice, great in the Astral Slide deck. Illusion Reality. Another Saproling Symbiosis, that's too funny. Wild Dogs. Wild dogs cry out in the night. As you can see, I am not a good singer, but that's okay. We all like Africa by Toto here. Haven Fate Shaper, Spirit Monger, Invigorating Boon, and Mind Slicer. Enters the battlefield, or when it dies, each player discards their hand. Fancy Empty the Warrens. Juggernaut, Narada Heir to Keld. Alright, just right there in the middle of the pack. Sandstorm, Frantic Search, Spirit Link, Thran Golem, Dampening Sphere, Chainer, Dementia Master, Foil Order to Chaos. So Chainer, all nightmares get +1/+1. Pay 3 black and 3 life, but target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. That creature is black and a nightmare. And when it leaves the battlefield, exile all nightmares. Coming down to 5 packs remaining. And let's see what we got going on here. Call of the Herd, High Tide, nice. Quicksilver Dagger, Urza, High Lord Artificer. He is a fellow, I guess he's a Lord High Artificer, and I'm High Lord of House Sunseeker. But he is a very prominent and popular commander. Oh boy, his abilities are crazy. So he creates a 0/0 colorless construct artifact when he comes into play that gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. Tap an untapped artifact you control, add blue mana, insane. Pay 5, shuffle your library, then exile the top card. Until end of turn, you may play that card without paying its mana cost. So he's basically got a Mind Desire effect for 5 mana whenever you want. Very, very powerful commander card. Especially with how easy it is for him to start making tons of mana. Let's see. Zombie Infestation. Sylvan Library and a 4th Chain Lightning. Wow. Sylvan Library. A very, very good green enchantment. Basically, at the beginning of your turn, instead of drawing 1 card, draw 3 cards. And then you can choose to put 2 back, or for each of those 2, you can pay 4 life and keep them. So if you're playing a lot of shuffle effects, it lets you see the top of your library, and then you can shuffle away cards you don't want, or you can use it to draw extra cards in a pinch. It's extremely good. Original printing was in Legends, and yeah, that's another great hit. All right, Thieving Magpie. John Finkel will tell you all about that card. Mystic Enforcer, Risk Grove, Denizen of the Deep, the joke rare, and a foil Mishra's Factory Old Border. Holy smokes, that's beautiful. Makes me want to bust out my standstills. Which, for those of you that don't know, Standstill is a card. It's an enchantment, colorless and a blue. Whenever a player would cast a spell, sacrifice Standstill, each of that player's opponents draws 3 cards. So basically the idea is that you play things like Mishra's Factory that aren't actually spells but can still win the game theoretically, and then you drop a standstill on top of them, so your opponent is forced to break the standstill and give you card advantage. Very powerful effect. Another Chain Lightning. Well, I have no excuse not to put Burn back together now. Wall of Junk. Rith the Awakener. Fantastic card. One of my early loves. I got one out of a booster pack of Invasion and slopped it right into my green-red deck and put in 2 brush lands and hoped that was enough white mana. I had a Birds of Paradise too, so, you know, we made it work. And last pack. Here we go. This one's for all the marbles. Corrosion Restorer, Mana War. Great commons in this set. Oh, Circular Logic. So it's blue and starts with D. Is this going to be a Denizen of the Deep full art? Oh, that hurts. And Mindstone and a foil Ornithopter and a Circular Logic. And that's all she wrote. Well, I gotta say, this box was pretty spectacular, aside from Double Denizen of the Deep. But when you get a Sylvan Library and Urza and an Entomb and another Entomb and a Gamble and a Force of Will and a Mystic Remora and a Time Stretch and Light and Tutor, like, this was insane. How many mythics did I get? Maze of Ith. Let's just do a quick mythic count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 mythics, but they were all really good mythics. 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow. Look at that. Look at that. Well, thanks for watching and going on this adventure with me. And, you know, follow me for more content. I definitely upload sporadically, but sometimes I just like to share cool things. And, you know, thanks for joining and have a great day.